So remember, like we talked about before, congruent means same size and shape. In our congruent sign, it's like an equal sign with a little wiggle on top. That's a technical term, of course. So we've got congruence. We've got, it looks like an equal sign. It basically means equal, but we just generally use it with shapes rather than with numbers. And then congruent figures, two shapes that have the same sides and angles. So if I have two congruent figures, it means all the sides match up and all the angles match up. So let me show you an example of two congruent triangles. So I've got A, B, and C here, and D, E, and F. Notice how the markings are done. To show that sides are congruent, we have single marks. So a single mark matches with a single mark. 2 marks matches with 2, 3 with 3. That doesn't mean that the one with 3 marks is bigger than the one with 2 or bigger than the one with 1. It just means that 3 matches with 3 and those sides are the same size. All right. And then A, B, and C, notice that for angles, we do a similar thing. We do little curve marks, but that means that angle A matches with angle E, C with D, and B with F. And so what you need to do here is we need to set up our congruency statements. So I would say triangle, that means I'm talking about triangles. Let's just say ABC, all right, is congruent. Now I could set ABC, I could have said CBA or ACB or any one of those combinations of 3 letters, right? Doesn't make a difference. However, the second one actually is really important we get the letters right. And here's why, because our congruency statement actually tells me more than just that they're congruent in general. It actually tells me which pieces in particular are congruent. So I know A matches with E. I've got 1 mark and 1 mark, so E has to go first. So if you said ABC is congruent to DEF, that would be incorrect. It's congruent to E, and then I went to B, right? So I'm going over here to F, E, F, D. Now the benefit of doing it this way, one, it's correct, so you're not going to get the problems wrong, but then I know that, say if I didn't even have the picture of triangles and I said, hey, angle B is 70 degrees, you could actually tell that angle F would also be 70 degrees because it lands in the same place of our congruency statement. So let me show you a couple of IXLs that we're covering today on this topic. They should be very quick. We should be able to get to them quickly. So let's see if I can get to them. Give me 1 sec here. Let me go to IXL. All right. So let's take a look here. So the first IXL asks you which are the corresponding parts that are congruent, okay? And this should be pretty easy. Does ED match with NO? And so you look over here at ED, you got 43, check NO, 43, that checks out. Does F match with Q? 124, 124, that checks out. Does E match with P? 82 and 87. It does not. Does D match with P? 68 and 87. It does not. Okay, and so that's part of it, is just matching, finding the correct pieces that match up here. Another one is going to be actually typing the letters in, so you're going to have to be careful. L matches with O. K matches with, let's see, K matches with P. J matches with Q. And then N. And so it's a matter of actually getting the letters in the correct order, matching L with O, K with P. Notice how the angles are matching up. All right, so that should be a pretty easy IXL. This one is also pretty easy. And once again, it's trying to drive home this idea that the pieces and your congruency statements are important. Notice it asks, what is DA? Well, I look at DA and there's nothing on the side DA. So what I do is I go to my congruency statement and I see A and D are at the end, so I'm looking for S and V. Now this one is pretty obvious, you could have figured that out without that, but there are actually ones where you need the congruency statements. You're not going to be able to solve them otherwise. So the correct answer here is 46 feet. So, all right. And then the rest of this, and so which one is angle K? So this one you might have to use you can take a look, which one does K match with, all right? So both of these are pretty easy. You should be able to get to 100 on both of them. I know this has kind of been a longer video, but this is just some important groundwork before we move forward with congruent triangles. So hopefully it makes sense, shouldn't be too hard. Let me know if you get stuck anywhere.